Hello, this is Reverend Joseph Andrew Jensen. I got a scarf around me. It's a little bit cold here, but I'm going to continue this message, and this is going to be like called Part 4, a remake of Part 4. I got in a discussion a little bit about politics, and I talked about Hillary Clinton in the last video, but I was talking about her involvement with Benghazi. The woman to me is ruthless. Okay, now let's get on to what's going on. In the next week, I will be ordering my tickets. Now, when I actually fly to Cairo, will depend on the situation, the cost of the tickets, the availability, the best cost, and the best time to fly. Okay, it might be that week, it might be the week after, it might be the week after that. But I will get to Cairo in the before the month's over. Now I'm going to Cairo to meet with a group of supporters. Actually, I consider myself, I said again, the Mahdi. The Mahdi. Now, whether any of you people that are Islamic want to consider me not the Mahdi because I'm not Arabic, I don't think I might not qualify. Well, that's the same mistake you're making about Allah. The same mistake that everybody's making about Allah. Whether I talk to the Allah, your Allah, my Allah, your beliefs, is the same reason, the same exact reason we have religions that don't know what they're doing. They're picking and choosing who Allah is. They're picking and choosing who they think that is going to be the messenger. The Christians were looking for revelations, the angels to come into the air and destroy this world. Okay? The Jews weren't looking for that. They were looking for a peacekeeper, okay, called the Messiah. In the same text, I guess in the Quran, it speaks in the end times of the Mahdi is it literally called the peacemaker. I have come with God's solution to restore the governments and justice in this world. Okay, you understand that? Now, who else is going to collect every bit of money in this world, collect it, and immediately redistribute it out evenly to everybody in this world? Now, there's so much of it. There's so much money in this world right now. Okay, understand this. There's close to $775 trillion to be distributed throughout in assets in this world. Okay? That's companies that are owned, homes that are owned, cars that are owned, the assets of this world, the things that are stored in this world, the savings, the money, the minerals, the everything, even the stores, from the clothes that are on the shelf in stores to the food that's stored, assets that we have collected are all worth something. And it comes up to $700 trillion. Now, when you divide $700 trillion by 9 billion people in the world, you come up with a pretty good sum of money, okay? A very big sum of money, okay? Because nowhere is a trillion close to a billion. You add 3 zeros to a billion, so if there's 900 billion, you know what I'm saying? You add 3 zeros to a billion, and then you have a trillion. So what's that mean? That means everybody has 3 zeros coming to it. 3 zeros behind your money coming to you. Just so you understand? Now, whether you consider me because I'm not Egyptian and I'm not Arabic, whether I say, oh, he's white, he's not one of us. Well, you're making a mistake. I do not fit your qualifications, but I fit your heart. Okay? I'm for God's representative. I'm the only representative I know of that's today, right now, this time, and this hour, this split second in front of you. Like the Christians that missed the boat on the rapture. You know, the rapture wasn't even in the Bible. It was just a teaching of a church. A belief that came about in the mid-40s. About the rapture. It was something that they dreamed up. And they called it the rapture. That God's going to have a predate when he gathers everybody and keeps them from being destroyed. And they're going to be with Jesus. Well, first off, when Christians say they're going to be with Jesus, you have created a nightmare. You had a nightmare with that statement. You know what? You completely ignored the fact you're going to be in God's world. You didn't give God any credit. You want to be with Jesus. What is it going to have two different worlds? One for Jesus and one for God? You have created a nightmare. Almost every word you said was a blaspheming word because you put more love into Jesus than you did God every day. The fact of the matter is you have God in you. I'm not sure if I have anything in my beard or not. No, that's the reflection of my. Okay, here's the thing. Do you understand? If you take and you put more emphasis on Jesus than you do God, and God is living, God is life, every breath you have literally is given to you by God every day, second and every day. The God inside you is only an extension of God, the Creator. Okay? It's a son, or I call it a son or daughter. We're physically trying to change God, but God inside you is basically the Creator, part of the Creator that's inside you. That's who God. It's not really two separate gods. It's just the portion of God that stays with you. But if we don't never be together, we don't never see each other. We don't. Then everybody gets out of control. Remember I told you yesterday that God was right there behind the mirror. The closest you can ever come to God is looking straight in the mirror. Well, after that, when you turn your back and walk away from God, God's working behind the mirror, and you're doing your own thing, going away. You're off on your own. He doesn't know what you're doing because he can't see outside of the rim of what's in the mirror. He has no idea what you're up to. You think God has eyes? He does. But he has eyes where you want them. He doesn't know his children. He can't hear his children. I don't know whether all that's true or not, but I do know that the fact of the matter is that God has lost track of his own children just like he's lost track of us. We're doing our own thing. And so the gods inside, many of the gods inside us, and I know this for a fact, because I've actually been almost killed by gods inside people that been trying to stop me. When I was in Africa, I had a dream, 2 dreams. I had 2 dreams in Africa. This is like 2 years ago when I went to Bujumbura. The first night I had that dream of like a homosexual nature, which was like, I dreamt I was with an old man, that we turned into an alleyway. He led me to an alleyway where 2 guys were having, not this one guy, lots of guys were having sex with one man. And he got excited and asked me to sodomize him. I woke up in that dream. I was so mad at God. I said, hell no. I didn't come here. Why would I have such a dream? What kind of dream is this? This is BS. Yeah. I was like, how can I have such a dream? I was ready to fly back. I told my host, the person I stayed in there, and that I was furious with God. I had an argument with God, the biggest argument I ever had, because I cursed him big time. And I said, hell no. I said, no way. I've been flying here. I come here because of you, and I help to help you, and then you let this happen to me? I was mad. Well, the next night I had a worse dream. How could anything be any worse than that? Well, let me tell you how. I was in a dream, and I was running and hiding from somebody, and I ran into a barracks, an army barracks that was nobody in it. The mattresses were even rolled up with the pillows and stuff. There were just springs, you know what I'm saying? And everything was closed up, and there was sheetrock on the walls. Some of the walls where the bathroom was and stuff like that. They were working on it. Okay? It was dark, and there was no light. The light switch was on, but I still had to find some place to hide because they were coming. And the next thing you know, the light switches went off. You could hear the walking down down the steps of the barracks on the floor, creaking. But they're not really trying to hide itself. It wasn't just, it was a stomping sound, like the hard steps. Not trying to hide, not trying to tiptoe. They were coming in, the lights went black and everything went black. Just the second the lights went off, I was looking for, like, to dive behind a sheetrock or something, or anywhere to hide. I couldn't see nothing, so I didn't. But then it came over to me, right to me. Two things grabbed me. Now, if you know anything about sleeping, when you go into sleep, there's called a REM sleep. When you're REM sleep, your body gets paralyzed. You can't talk. You can't move. It's like that. It was like two people seized me. I couldn't talk. I couldn't move. I was like this. Okay? And then he parted my hair. His cold fingertips parted my hair. Now, I used to be an iron worker, and they took the iron, 8-pound sledgehammer, and he rolled it on my skin on my head. I could feel the cold steel on my head. Then he hit me, tapped me on top of the head with that steel 8-pound sledgehammer. And I passed out. It hurt. I'm talking about it hurt. And I did pass out. I couldn't. Maybe 1 minute, maybe 2 seconds. I don't know. But it was, to me, I passed out, and it took some time. And when I recovered, whether it was a split second later, I don't know. But when I recovered, that thing, whatever was behind me, took that thing and he rubbed it on my head again, and I knew he lifted it up. And at that split second, I just thought in my head, I knew I was going to die. I knew I was going to die. And I thought in my head, go ahead, because once I'm dead, I'm coming after you. Because you can't do no more to me. And the second I had that thought, it disappeared. Okay? It was fixing to whack me for the good time. I should have had a heart attack in my sleep at the first blow when he knocked me out. But I recovered. Now you tell me what God, inside what person, did that to me. You understand? You know it's not Satan. You were talking about God. God lives inside that person. That God did not want me to go any further with this idea of building heaven on earth. It wanted things the way it was. That tells me that God himself is involved. But God hasn't been able to keep track of his own children, girls and boys. You know, daughters of God, sons of God, living in us. He couldn't keep track of them when they left his heaven before, when they came to fallen angels. Now we say fallen, but but that's a misconception too, because they were already here. I guess they fell from grace. They didn't fall from the sky, because they were already here. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? They're unseen because they're living at God's speed. But here's the point. The next day, the next morning when I woke up, my host woke up, Marcel, and I told Marcel, I gotta go. I'm getting out of here. I said, I'm going back home. He says, why? And I told him the dream. He says, oh my God. Marcel told me to go to work with him. I ended up going to work with him, and he worked. And then I met 160 precious handicapped children. I'm autistic myself. So 160 kids with autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, twisted limbs. The most wonderful little beautiful children there was. And they loved rubbing my beard. They were rubbing my beard, and they called me Perry Noel, which is the same thing as Santa Claus in America. You know, it's like Perry Noel, and they were rubbing my beard. I tried to get there like last Christmas, and this I want to this Christmas. 160 of the most precious little children that you ever saw. Where can you ever go that you can deny God to send me to a place like that and have those kinds of experiences? I know that there was gods in there that are just evil or worse than we are, because on 2012, after I had come back from Iraq in 2010, I spent 2008 to 2010 in Iraq. And in 2012, Al-Qaeda, I guess it was, or somebody, all the terrorist organizations together, I don't know maybe it was Iran, they attacked Spain, France, Italy, Greece, Sweden, Germany, and America simultaneously. One was in Spain, I think it was the train. Set off a bomb in the train. The other one's in France, I think it was a shopping mall. All these tragedies in Sweden, where they actually took in the Islam, and they took them in, and they got raped. The women got raped. You know what I'm saying? It was like every country. And I said, I went and I had a brand new prescription of 90-day supply of high pressure medicine, high blood pressure medicine, and also cholesterol medicine. I took a 90-day supply of cholesterol medicine and heart pressure medicine, and three bottles of melatonin. I took them not because I was depressed. I went there to see God face to face, and I told God, hell no, I'm coming to be there. But when I laid down on my bed, guess what? I wasn't dying. I wasn't getting sleep. My brain was going more like it had cocaine in it. It was like rushing. I don't know what cocaine feels like, but I do know what it is to feel like, to have a drug like epinephrine, speed, the energy. And I know that I was like waking up, alert. And I cursed God again. I says, are you scared of me? You don't want me to die? I want let me die. You should start to see me face to face. Yeah, I told God that. I cursed God. I said, come on, you chicken. I called him everything in the book. God and I have been in love with each other since I was a baby. Never fell in love with God, except for I had my differences with God. Like I said, when I was 3 years old, I said, where are you at? Why'd you let that happen? How come there's a devil? You know, we've had our differences, but I also love God. God was like, I don't know, he was there for me. He was always there for me. I was always doing things on my own. I didn't associate well with my brother uh, or anybody else. I was always on my own, and we were always getting involved with the fight one way or another. If I saw somebody picking on somebody that's smaller, I was jumped in. I ran to get jumped in. If I saw them do anything to a girl or that, I ran to jump in. I was kind of like the little Superman that ran all into everybody's affairs. I couldn't stand that. I did that all through high school. High school, they never let me mainstream. They never let me take a regular class. I think reading classes, and I took arithmetic, not algebra, not geometry, not physics. When I finally got to college and I got there, I made an A's in algebra, geometry, physics, and trigonometry. That was one of my best subjects. English was funny because when I was in high school, I couldn't even take Newton. I didn't know grammar. I never learned grammar. I never learned anything but how to read. Now, we had to read a lot, and we had to make book reports, but we never had any homework. And we had to read short stories and books, and we had to make book reports. But the thing about it was, when I was making English in college, I took English 101, I took speech, and I took psychology at the same time. And I hate psychology. I learned about idiots like Pavlov and his dog. People like that. I learned a controversial subjects like that. And I wrote a paper for psychology with my argument, gave it in speech, and turned it in English. You know what I'm saying? 3 subjects for the same thing, and I got straight A's in every one of them, and all the students were laughing because they knew what I was going to wrote about, and they knew what I was going to talk about in speech, because I just got through talking about it in psychology. I taught a lot of people a lot of things when I was in college because I went there at an older age. And it was great. I had a way of cheating that wasn't cheating by writing the stuff on your hands, on every line in your hand. I used to draw the handprint and memorize something on each line of the hand, the crease of the hands, like the fingertips, the knuckle, and then the folding part line at the palm. And things. I put a bit of information on the hand, and I wrote it down on paper and studied that paper for a week. And then when I took the test, I washed my hands good, made sure there was no lines or information, ink on my hands. And then when I took the tests, it was like, okay, all I had to do was look at my hand to trigger the answer. And so I made straight A's. Well, I had everybody, when they took a test, looking at the palms of their hands. And they learned that. They said, "Oh, I was a character in college, because I was teaching people stuff that, how in the world they were able. Everybody who was memorizing this stuff by looking at a blank hand, and they were also wanting to take the same classes I had because I bring up controversial subjects that they never heard about. I mean, this whole generation of people, when I went to college, they never heard of." People during the times of the, I'm getting off the subject now because God doesn't want me talking about it. But Malcolm X and people like that, they didn't know about. They didn't know about the segregation, and they didn't know all the things that went on before them. And so I was telling them stuff that they never had learned. In fact, the stuff that we were learning was wrong. I would question even what they were teaching. I'd have arguments against what everybody's learning. And that's exactly what this is all about too. Every religion has an indoctrination. Every religion has a brainwashing. Who would speak for me if I wasn't speaking? A committee? A guy that talks better? A man that is better looking? Would they be? Did they know what I know? No, they can't. They don't have the heart. Who's going to collect the money from this world, all the money from this world, and give you back God's coin, way more of God's coin, make you millionaires, but you're going to be using God's coin as your main currency to back. You're basically, the God's coin is going to be backing every currency in the world. God's going to back every currency in the world, because that's exactly what the government's doing. The government every government, the United States does it too. The government, they pay their bills based on the future earnings that they're going to get in taxes, and they're going to get in their deals, interest or whatever they're going to make off of their deals. The government has whatever they're going to make in the future. They are banking on that. That's what's backing our money. It's the future of money. That's what the British pound was all about. It was what they're capable of paying. Well, that's not what this is based on. This is based on the money that we are making instantaneously. I'm giving it to you up front, but it's already there. I'm giving you what's already banked, and then I'm telling everybody's going to be a millionaire. Everybody's going to be given millions and millions of dollars. Why? It was so that you will go live where you're supposed to live, where you want to live. Separate yourselves, but don't separate yourselves from God or your churches. And everybody in church has got to be a one mind and one God's mindset, and that is based on God. Yes, they can be base their religion on Jesus Christ, if they're gonna, but they have to understand that who Jesus Christ was. He was the Son of God. He was not God. There's a difference. You don't worship somebody before God. You worship God in the daily life. God's name ought to be changed right now from being Allah or God to life. So, and everybody goes around saying, how's life treating you? That's the same as saying how God's treating you. Or how's life? You're asking about life. How God is. God ought to be the first thing you talk about in every conversation. When I go anywhere, I say we are going there. Capital W, capital E. Or us, we're going. Capitalize W-E-R-E. Now this message is going to be interpreted and transcribed in every language in this world, and everybody's going to receive it. My book is coming out as soon as I get to Cairo. It should be done. It's coming out on Amazon, Egypt in Egyptian. It's coming on Amazon with the money that we get from there. It's also coming. It's going to be written in Egyptian. It's going to be written in Arabic. It's going to be written in English. Right now, Aria is editing it in English. She's got 6 years of language. And she's got graphic arts. She got degrees in language and graphic arts. She speaks Egyptian, she speaks Arabic, and she speaks English way better than I do. She doesn't even have an accent. Not to me. I would never know she wasn't from America. But you understand, she's not the only one. Everyone I've talked to that's working there speaks English better than I do. So what I'm saying is I got a team waiting on me. Selena, Aria, Mulder, Rolex, Warwick, Schofield, Yusuf, different ones. I got a lot of people, and I mean, people that met 5 people got the 25 years of education, college education. You know what I'm talking about? 25 years of college. God put together a team. Mulder's a genetic engineer. Rolex is a regular engineer. Okay. Selena's got her degrees in language. Aria, again, she has she's a language major of 6 years college. You know, Selena's got 8 years of college. Aria's got 6 years, and she's got degrees in language and in computer graphics. There's all these talents. So this is not the team I put together. When I go anywhere, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know who I'm meeting. And I don't know anything about the place. And then all of a sudden, what happened when I go to Africa? I meet 160 children that are just the love of my life. With the nuns that are running this facility. Not to mention Marcel and Yvette and their little daughter Marcy. This is the loves of my life. You know what's amazing is the poorest country in the world was the cleanest country in the country I've ever been in. Any place I ever been in. And you know why? And it was the happiest place. It's simply because the people, you couldn't find a cigarette butt on the ground. You don't see a can. You don't see trash. There's no flies. Why aren't there flies? I guess because there's no smoke. There's no trash. There's nothing for these pests to eat. So if the place has no flies, what's that tell you? They're very clean people. And next thing you know, they're always changing clothes. I mean, yeah, I could see women, the black women that were there. They could carry a 7-gallon. It's in liters, but basically it's carrying 7 gallons of water on their heads. Some of the men were carrying, some of the women even were carrying 2 jugs in each hand or on a stick. The men would do that all the time. Then they would have like 3 of these huge jugs of 7 gallons of water on a bicycle, and they were walking the bicycle. They were walking the bicycle with this water. It took 3 guys to hold the bicycle, but they were carrying 3 jugs of water to customers to sell. Because there was no petrol. There was they have huge trucks beside the road, and every car there because they ran out of petrol. They couldn't afford the petrol that being refined in Nigeria, even though it came from Belgium, it came from the Netherlands. The oil and stuff came there to be refined in Nigeria. They couldn't afford it because it was sold to the highest bidder, and Burundi couldn't afford it, so they couldn't get fuel because it was outbidded. You know, they sold it to the highest person, so they never got. Burundi was trucks. I mean, huge, massive trucks, and craziest thing is that in Burundi they use kerosene, not diesel. I mean, clean enough kerosene that you can burn it in the house without a chimney. I mean, this is heating oil that you could use in the house without that didn't create enough smoke and carbon monoxide that you can burn it inside the house. And this is what they run their diesel trucks with. So their environment is so clean. These trucks are huge with huge tires on them because They look like the trucks that come from the sugarcane fields in South America. I'm talking about these are big, huge trucks. I mean, they're carrying 100,000 pounds or more. 80 to 100,000. They're bigger than the trucks we have in America that only can carry 40,000 pounds. It's the truck itself can't be over 60 in the United States. And that's the truck is weighing 20 and the cargo is 40. Well, these trucks that are running in places like I'm talking about, they can carry 80,000 pounds. Some of them have massive cabs, and some of them are giant trucks with massive tires, but a little tiny cab where they sit in. They're weird looking, but they're huge. They move huge amounts of things. But the point of the matter is, you go to a country where the people are changing clothes. They get wet. They love to get wet, so they love to wash dishes. They love to wash the cars. They love to wash the house. They love to scrub the floors. They love to wash clothes. They love to cook. Any reason to get wet, they love it. So everybody has a maid. Everybody has a gardener. I mean, it's like anybody can get wet. They change their clothes like we brush our teeth, 3 times a day. I mean, it's like that's what they just love to. They do that too. These people are the happiest and cleanest people in the world. And when the gas run out, they didn't care. That just allowed them to walk, and they would just as soon walk 20 miles as they do take a car because they want to talk to their friends and enjoy their walk. It's crazy. Them to be carrying these kind of loads. I watched the 2 maids that they look like little skinny little girls. In their 1820s. Cookie was a cook and Kiki was a maid. They were always playing and always doing things together, washing clothes together, washing dishes together, doing everything together. They're like 2 sisters, right? But these Cookie and Kiki were both, just so happy, and they were always changing clothes and always playing. But they love to get wet and they love to change their clothes. But they had to wear uniforms, kind of like uniform clothes that were little bit. They're not as stylish, but they're still they were still very clean, always clean. I mean, these girls, this is amazing how clean. I mean, you can't set nothing down that they won't be there in a split second, putting a coaster underneath a cup or wiping it down. I mean, they're doing the floors 3-4 times a day. Every time they turn around, I mean, it's like the dust doesn't settle on the floor or anything. That's what people can afford because think about it. Anybody that's a servant in somebody's house, they're eating their food. They're the family food. They're also got a room. Plus they got water. They got all the things that they don't even have on the outside. So this is an awakening. This is what the world's going to awaken to. I am the Mahdi. I am the Messiah. I am coming with God's coin. If I don't fit your mold, guess what? Nobody, not even God's going to fit your mold of what you think God is. You're going to decide yourself out of something that's the most important thing that is not a belief. It's a reality. Who's God and where's God? You're closer to God looking in the mirror than you ever could be anywhere else. As soon as you turn your back to the mirror, you're off in your direction, and God's can't watch you past the time you get out of sight. That's why God can't keep up with his own children, because God's living in them. You're separating God in you from the God. You're not looking at, allowing the God in you to even get close to God. You're running the other direction. I just, Some of the stuff I wasn't this smart starting off with, and all of a sudden I had to put together the pieces. I kind of believe that at the end of time, that we're going to heaven is going to be nothing but taking a step into the mirror. The porthole is going to be inside the mirror. You're just going to take a step in, and next from our world into God's world. That's what my theory is, and actually that's why I think that Mulder's a genetic physicist. I think that he's going to help me prove that point. That everything's going on behind that mirror. We're in the same world. We're not talking about another universe, another dimension. I think it's right there in the mirror. I think the reflection is that we're going to someday be able to take that step through that mirror. We get to God. He's on the other side. I think that's why the mirror has always been right there. Our reflection in the water, our reflection anywhere. It's always been where you could see God. God looks exactly like us. He took that form of energy. He took that form of energy, and it lives in us. We're the ones separating God from God, where they don't know what they're doing. But once you can get the churches, even within there's an aura about us. I learned this at JFK when I was stranded at JFK with no money, no way to get home. I was stuck there for 3 days in JFK airport. But I learned this, that even getting closer to I could hear, because I can hear God. And when I hear God's getting together, communicating together, I can hear it almost sounding like bees. Or like static. And sometimes God would let me in on the conversation. And he had me to ask a question. Get close to the person and ask him something. And I ended up talking to people like a Jewish lawyer that had his business on 32nd Street in New York. Heck, I've been to 32nd Street in New York. I knew exactly where it was at. Okay, I'm going to kind of stop this video because it's getting darker and it's having things, but this is the fourth part of the day. What I was going to tell you, that once everybody, I am going to consider myself as to be the peacemaker. The peacemaker. And the Mahdi is actually the one that's going to restore justice and restore this world. Okay, he's going to restore it. Restore peace and restore justice to this world. Does that not fit the description of the Mahdi? That's exactly what God's going to do. He's going to make everybody millionaires and get everybody out of each other's business. As far as the laws go, every law in every country is going to be started over, because every 18-year-old is going to be a peacemaker. They're going to get paid the wages of 1 God's coin per month to 5 God's coins per month, depending on the position of what they do. If you don't like getting paid 1 God's coins a month for being just an associate that doesn't know anything, to a person that's learning, the next step is 2 as a team leader. The next step of that is a supervisor. A supervisor. After that, being a supervisor is going to be a manager, making 4. The last is going to be a business. And if you don't like staying at 1 for a period of time and to 2 and 3, then go start your own business. Everybody you get's going to be free labor. You're going to have free maids. You're going to have free butlers, free anything. Go get them. They're free. But first you got to buy God's coins. God's coins are going to be on sale right now. In America, it's going to be for $1 a piece. In Egypt, it's going to be for 1 Egyptian pound a piece. In Burundi, it's going to be 1 Burundian franc a piece. You know there's 3,500 Burundian francs to $1? So that means there you get 3,500 God's coins in Burundi. In Egypt, they're going to get 5 million. They're actually going to get 50. They're going to get 50 God's coins per dollar. That's how many Egyptian pounds there is. There's 50 Egyptian pounds to a dollar. But then I'm going to change. That's only going to happen for 1 month until because I'm putting the God's coin in America. The one has 1 month to turn their money in for $1. $1 for one God's coin. It's going to go up to $100,000 in America. You hear that, Elon Musk? You hear that, everybody? Bill Gates, even Donald Trump. You guys better be ready to get God's coin, and fast. This is not a game. You say, well, I don't know. I don't think it's going to. You don't think? That's exactly what's going to be the problem. If you don't think, it's going to happen before your eyes. That's a problem. You guys think something's a belief or something's a good thing. No, it's not. This is not a game. You're going to miss out because I don't fit the description of being God's messenger, because God doesn't fit your description of God. You don't like the way he's coming back. You don't like the way things are going. You don't think. Don't think about it. Just take your money and buy the God's coins, as many as you can, as soon as you can. And when you get that, you'll be safe. And then with that's going to be offered a job. If you're 18 years old, and first thing you're going to do is be registered to vote. Every 18-year-old in this world is going to be a voter. At one point or another, there's 9 billion people in this world that are going to be voters in this world. Everybody's going to have 9 billion voters in this world. When they reach 18, from now to when they reach 18, they're still going to be a voter. There won't be any more governments playing games with us. We're going to ones be playing games with you. You'll be serving people, and not we're serving you. There won't be any taxes. There won't be any laws passed that's not decided on by the people. You're going to say, well, what do you want? My God, we're going to say, well, we want you guys to forget about this. Because first off, nobody's going to own their own business anymore in a sense. Elon Musk, you're going to keep doing what you're doing. I'm not going to interfere with your businesses. You still own SpaceX, and you still own Tesla. I'm not going to interfere with that at all. You own it, but you don't own it. You know what I'm saying? I own it, but I'm giving it back to you. I don't want your paperwork. I don't want things. You own it. The only thing I'm freeing you up is from shareholders. I am making it that there is nobody going to have any connection with anybody. I'm assuming everybody's. I'm telling everybody, the banks. When I take over a bank, I'm taking over each branch of a bank. Okay. There's not going to be any more banks with stockholders, shareholders, anybody else. They belong to you, the person that's running the bank. No more committees. Nobody, what brought me to this point is I was a crane operator for 35 years. When I run a crane, it's only between me and God. Nobody else pulls my levers but me, just me and God. And I can't pull a lever unless God fires a synapse in my brain to allow me to move or think or pull a lever. Well, now it's going to be the same way. When a preacher gets up there, the preacher's not going to have to go through a committee, the one that was appointed to do the job. You understand what I'm talking about? Guess what? It's kind of like me. Who's going to take my place? Who's going to do the talking for? Who's going to do what God says? I have to make sure it gets done the way God says, the way I say God has told me. That's what I'm saying. The proof is whether I believe in God is what I'm doing. Who else is going to do what I'm doing? That's what the whole point of this whole situation is. Don't look at the personality. Don't see what the best. You think who's the best qualified to give this? Eh? The person that was given the mission or is bringing it out is the person that's behind the thought. And guess who's behind the thoughts of a person? God. You guys got so much to learn, but you got so much more to make up for everything you ever did. From the running away from the mirror, running to your churches, praising God, thanking God, but yet you could, every religion's involved in killing God. Hamas, you're a religion, you're Islam, but you're religion, and you're killing God. Jews, my God, you even were given the daggum 10 Commandments, and you killed. Joshua went into the Canaan and started fighting giants. In the what they said it was for God, they didn't do it for God. They did it for themselves. I already told you, guys, go back and watch all my tapes about me. But God hates you. He hates people that you're basically blasphemers. You claimed you're murderers, you're thieves, and you tell people everything that's wrong, and yet you say you love God. One of the commandments is, thou shalt never take the name of God in vain. That's a big one. That makes every word out of every religion's mouth. Blasphemers, especially the Christians. You made Jesus your God. Jesus was the Son of God, and truly I believe in Jesus and I love Jesus, but not going to put Jesus above God. Jesus didn't create the world, and he didn't know no more about you. He might have come into your heart when he was like me, 38 years old. 38 years old before I ever met God, or somewhere in my 30s. You know, I've heard about Jesus all my life because I was born into a Catholic family. At least my mother was. But what I'm going to say, I'm going to drop this video right now. It's getting dark. It's a hard video to see, but it's good content, and it's going to be. I'm going to publish it right now on YouTube, as the 4th part of Christmas 2025. Christmas 2025 is when I add up all the money between what's coming in from now to the 20th of December, and then I will divide it and send it to everybody's currency in that country. Equal. I'm not even taking a share. It's going to be divided by the accounts, which we will have by using the same card that you pay for your God's coins. That's the same card we'll get a refund, or that we will know who you are, because in the account it's going to tell us who to send the money to, and we're going to send you your shares so that you can enjoy Christmas with that money. And you're going to find out it's like a slot machine. It's going to run like a slot machine where you put in $1 of your money, or a Burundian franc, Egyptian franc, and next thing you know, it's not going to take a week later, 3 days later, it's going to happen immediately. All of a sudden, you're going to find out how much more you're going to get out, because it's always ticking. It's never going down. You can't wait to take their dollar back out of the machine once it's in there. So it's going to go up, because every second it's going to divide that up into how many people just added $1. Egyptian pound to that. So every split second is going to be like, well, hey, I got 5 people. Oh, I got 20 people. I got 300 people. I got 1,000 people. That's going into your account all the time. So how long is it going to be before everybody's using God's coin? I want everybody, when they start receiving God's coin, to immediately take one God's coin and deposit it into their own personal bank account. So we're not starving the other banks either, but they're getting accounts that they never would have got before. They were never expected. We're adding 9 billion bank accounts to this world that were never expected before. Nobody would have ever expected. We're adding, because everybody from a newborn to the oldest person in the world is going to be getting God's coin. So that's 9 billion accounts. Automatically, we're going to know exactly this. You want to know the census of this world? I'll be able to tell you exactly how many people are in this world in the next month or two. Because everybody will have a God's coin account. People like Elon Musk, you'll be all in and all invested. But I have a lot more. But I got contracts that you won't believe. You got over 1 billion banks to build by Boxable. By Boxable, the contracts I'll end up giving you $100,000 per unit. I need 150 units built right now. So that's 150 times 100,000. Okay? Units that you're going to get. That's a fair price to build my banks. Okay? I need 1 billion banks. Where am I going to get 1 billion banks? By anybody that wants to open a bank. And you know what that's going to be? The president of a bank could be a retarded person. Can be a handicapped person that it can't even help themselves or feed themselves. I don't care. They will be the owner of that bank because they will have the help. They will have the managers are the ones that have to know what they're doing. They have to know the banking up and down. Who the owner is just the owner. And that's going to be a wounded warrior. That's going to be a handicapped person. That's going to be somebody that can't even walk or talk or they have a hard time walking, talking, eating, or even going to the bathroom. Why not? Shouldn't the presidents of the bank be somebody that would never got on top of the world? They're going to be the ones at the top. There's two things that you got to know what Jesus said. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. So everybody's going to be a peacemaker in God's new world. Every peacemaker will be after 12 months of joining this, they will end up being certified police officers, certified paramedics, martial artists, working towards masters. For 12 months, they're going to learn the basics of jiu-jitsu, of judo. And the type of Kempo I took was called Karaho Kempo, designed by William Chow. It's explained. It'll be explained to you. But you're going to be martial artists, like I was. But you're going to be better at it than I was, because I only went to being a purple belt, ready to become blue. At blue, you know all the moves, but at purple, you know all the moves. But until you test, after once you come on blue, then you start mastering. That's when you spend the next 7, 8, or the rest of your life mastering that. And you'll learn different versions of the same moves that you learned from the beginning. 4, 5, 6 different versions. It's just more comfortability, more things you can do. Where you learn to fight with katas, and katas is imagining yourself with many people rushing you at one time. In Kempo, the difference of it is we do a little bit of thinking first. We try not to let a group come around us. We don't even try to let a person get a stance or grab a gun and get it out, or get their knife drawn. We try to rush them before they get their knife out, before they get their gun out, before they can get a stance. or we'll be laughing beside them and unsuspecting, and then we'll take them down because we know what they're about to do or even think. We don't have to know, because if we suspect you of doing something, we can't take the risk of you getting that stance, getting that gun, or getting out that knife. It doesn't matter. We stop you, even if we think you're up to no good. As long as we can stop this mess before it starts. That's why in Kempo there is no fight. We're stopping the fight before it starts. There's going to be a first strike, and we don't wait for the first strike. We usually end up giving the first strike. You know how fast I can break your knee? You know how fast I can break your hands, your knuckles, your feet, your wrists, your elbows? You understand what I'm saying? But then when it really comes down to war, once I take out anything, I try not to kill you. I'm not out to kill you. But we do have choices. And our choices are similar to taking out your eyes on a permanent basis, where you're never going to use your sight again. That doesn't mean you're dead. It just means you can't have babies. I mean, it just means you can continue, and you can marry, and you can have babies, and you can live. Be thankful you're still living. If I break every bone in your body, be thankful. You're still living, aren't you? If I break your feet, all the feet in your thing, I stomp them with cowboy boots on, I'll break as many bones in your feet where you won't be walking again. I'll take every finger by finger. That's what people in Carajo do. Because we're going to make sure that you don't do what you did or tried to do. Bullies, you ain't got a chance anymore. Criminals, you don't have a chance either. You won't have a chance either. You're going to be people that are around you, and you might even be a police officer. You might even be a paramedic. You might even be a peacemaker. But the second you try to think you're going to use that gun on us, guess what? You can try. But everybody's hands is going to be on you. Every child born is going to have more. You're going to have a free nanny. It's going to have a free maid, a free maid, cook. You're going to have free gardeners, free landscapers, free painters, anything in the house around you. But you know what that is? That's just another set of eyes and ears and noses. You want to play with matches? Guess what? You got everybody's nose smelling for that match. We're going to know every step you take, and we're going to make sure that child gets raised not under the threat of people who are going to have help with your children. But your children are going to have more than just one parent. In other words, they're going to have free daycare workers, free nannies, free, whatever. It's always going to be watching you and watching there, because that's what life's going to be. And free time, you're going to have very little free time. It's not going to, you'll have money to spend and buy yourself cars, even Rolls Royce. I mean, you can have the best of everything in the world, and you're going to have the finest things and the finest home you ever wanted, palace and everything. You're going to have all the stuff you want because you're going to be multimillionaires. But the point of the matter is, that's to start businesses, to build that place, and that's to make sure that the children do get born. We're praying girls, women, to have children, okay? Have their babies. They get a year's wages off at $1,200,000 a month to $6 million a year, rather, to $6 million a year, and they're going to get that yearly income and a year's maternity leave to have a child. How many lesbians are going to be in this world then? You homosexuals, you go to jail for anything. You even get hinted. and they ended up getting you in jail, guess what? First thing you're going to get is clipped. You're going to get a reversible vasectomy. Mm-mm. This world's not going to carry on like it's been doing. You think you're going to be able to buy cigarettes in the store? No, you're not going to be able to buy cigarettes in the store. Vapors. You think you're going to be able... This world it's not been doing God's will. You've been doing your own will be done. Or somebody else's will be done. You'll be lucky because God loves beer. Beer and wine. Even liquor. You moonshiners, go ahead and make liquor. Not going to stop you. You're not going to have any government making it. But you're not going to... But when it gets to the point, when you start messing with other people, if people get too messed up off there, you're not going to have to make money off them. But when you start... if you start making something and encouraging people to become alcoholics or drunks or whatever, guess what? You've overstepped your bounds. Now, you might end up behind without anything. Okay, you understand? That's what's going to happen with this world. You people that are into porn and things like that, you guess what? That internet's not going to have that kind of stuff anymore. TikTok's not going to exist. Digital's not going to exist. Those antennas and wireless is coming down. It's coming down. There's not going to be any data collection, data transfers. We're going to put A&I in its place. Back to being just robots, helpers. Not able to think. Never able to think. They're to do their job, what they're trained, needed for, and that's it. Not to do the thinking for us. In fact, people do not have the how do you say? They take something as stupid as A&I that only knows ones and twos, but they can deal with a lot of ones and twos, right? But they can to try to teach them everything in between the rest of the numbers and everything. That's impossible. I mean, why would we put up with 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds when they think they know everything? A&I is not going to be doing that kind of thinking for us. They can do the adding for us, that's it. But it's not going to do the thinking for us. Anyway, what I'm saying, this world's going to be turned around. Peacekeepers, everybody's going to be a peacekeeper. Jesus said, blessed are the peacemakers. The peacemakers are going to be the Mahdi's. They're going to be the Messiahs. They're going to be the people that have the authority as police officers, as paramedics, on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Who's the closest person to that person to get to that person right then? We'll know. Everybody's going to have, is going to be concealed carry. Yeah, they're going to be concealed carry. If they have to run up against a situation where somebody has a weapon or that against a crowd, yes, they got to respond. They're the closest person, and they'll learn to keep their eyes out, just like I learned when I was taking Kempo. You start looking at the person when they drive over the hill. When they come into your eyesight, no matter how far away, if it's a quarter of a mile away. Once you do that, you start building the scenarios in your mind. You see the scenarios of what they're doing. If you start doing, we're going to watch you all until the way you get out of sight. We build the scenarios. We carve you up like a turkey. We know what we're going to do. Okay? And we don't need help. And we don't need guns. We don't need knives. We don't need to have something in our hands that you can take from me and use it against me. It's going to be the opposite. I'm going to get your gun and use it against you. But I'm not going to shoot you. I'm going to try to get you to swallow that gun upside down. Not barrel first, but through the grip. You understand? Or do the opposite. Stick it up your rear end. Okay? This is the way I am. But this is the way everybody will be. And they'll learn it the same way, and all the instructors will learn the same way that I teach. I'll teach them. They don't know what to do necessarily. They've been taught, but they haven't learned the way I was taught. Okay? Now, I'm going to drop this video and make it right thing and put it on YouTube right now as the fourth part of Christmas thing. But this is serious, people. Donald Trump, you better be listening right now. With my book, get my book. Get my book, Blessed Are the Peacemakers. It'll explain everything. You play this video, and furthermore, all of you, including Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi, I'm offering you right now, by this video, 100 God's coin per Bitcoin. I'm only going to give the Bitcoin straight to the Palestinians, and it will become the first Palestinian currency. Then they can develop their own if they want, but they will have Bitcoin. That will become Palestine's currency. Whatever Bitcoin comes from you, Satoshi, and your Bitcoin, and all Bitcoin owners. I'll give you 100 God's coin per Bitcoin. Do it now. But even before this. As far as Elon Musk, as soon as you hear about this, Donald Trump, any of you, y'all can afford the jet to come get me and let's negotiate. Before anything happens more. Send a jet to Cairo. Come get me in Cairo. Come to Cairo. Come get me. Send a jet. I'll go wherever you're at, and I'll do the negotiations for God. I am a sole proprietor. Okay? I'm a sole of God's living ministry. Okay, this is getting really hard to see on there. I know it's dark, but I'm going to put it on there right now. And good night.